Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. Today we're going to be talking about this incredible breaking news. Police have seized thousands of guns at the home of John Paul Getty's son's mistress on exactly the same day Joe Biden is in Hollywood speaking to celebrities. Plus, we're going to look at a bunch of other news stories, but you guys are going to want to stick around and check this out. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always like to begin by saying thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here on the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted, and don't forget to hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see more. So, today, this is where we're at with the Q post, still back to May 2nd, waiting in a holding pattern for the next set of Q posts, and that's just where that is. But we have an incredible story we're going to talk about today that I don't even know how to tell it other than just to give you all the facts and let you guys look at it for yourselves, because this is a story that's incredible. Thousands of weapons seized at a home in the Hollywood Hills, right next to Jay-Z and Beyonce's house in the Playboy Mansion. I mean, we're talking smack dab in the middle. And this story gets even crazier as the woman who owns this house is the mistress of Gordon Getty, who is the son, of course, of John Paul Getty. J. Paul Getty, the biggest, the wealthiest man in LA, presumably. Maybe not exactly the wealthiest, but one of the wealthiest. And there's just so much more to the story. We're going to have to get into it. First of all, also, I always like to tell everybody, come back here, watch these last few videos, and share them on your social media because, guys, look, the fact is that we're not getting any favors from YouTube as far as the algorithms go. They're not suggesting the content. My videos barely get suggested, if at all. I'm supposedly whatever, but you guys got to come share these and get the word out there, and I really appreciate when you do. So you guys really make a difference. And if you don't know what QAnon and the Great Awakening is, I always encourage everyone to come back here and watch this video. What is QAnon and the Great Awakening? But before we get into anything else, we'll just jump right into the first story here. So let's start right here. This is the massive cache of over 1,000 guns seized from a Bel Air mansion. Now, if you read through this story, it talks about a man being arrested Wednesday after authorities seized more than 1,000 guns from a home in Holmby Hills, which is what authorities say. And Holmby Hills, for those of you who don't know LA, it's right there. It's basically the very rich, affluent, very palatial neighborhood with the Playboy Mansion, Beyonce, and Jay-Z, and it's right there. It's basically in the Hollywood Hills. So that is where it's at. Officials received an anonymous tip about a person illegally manufacturing and selling guns in a home in the 100 block of North Beverly Glen Boulevard, said Officer Mike Lopez, a spokesman with the Los Angeles Police Department. So this is very shocking to the guys there, but I love how it says that they got an anonymous tip. I wonder who could have possibly provided the anonymous tip. Could it have possibly been the Wizards and Warlocks? I just have to ask that question. You guys let me know down in the comments what you think. But it says, as a part of an ongoing investigation, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives in the LAPD served a search warrant at the home at 4 a.m., he said. The ATF said in a statement that its agents searched the home after discovering an individual illegally selling firearms outside the scope of the federal firearm license that the individual possesses. So they're basically selling firearms without a permit. And it's saying here, and you can sell them like one-on-one, I think, but you can't do it on a large scale like they were doing here. But you can keep reading through the story, and what's interesting is where you get down to this area. Here, we can watch a little bit of the footage of what they actually seized from this home. You guys are seeing right now the incredible amount of firearms they seized from this home. This is literally enough to supply a small army. And it's right smack dab in the Hollywood Hills in LA. Huh. You know, Q told us that LA is going to be a big part of all of this. And my sources are telling me, trust me, LA is the touchdown. That's what we got with that post with Q saying, giving us the picture of the Long Beach port and saying we're on 1st and 40 and we're on offense. LA is the touchdown. It's the end zone. It's where all of this is headed, because it's almost like they've tried to set up a secondary government, and there's just a lot of really negative stuff that's associated with some of these things that we're going to be talking about here. But that's obviously the footage of what they were taking away. And of course, if you go down here, the really important part of this story here is saying the Bel Air mansion is described as a hoarder's paradise. Court records show that the property is owned by Cynthia Beck, who has 3 daughters with J. Paul Getty's son, Gordon Getty. Beck bought the property in January 2001, but it remains unclear what, if any, connection she had to Wednesday's events. Beck could not be reached for comment. Well, you know, I'm probably in the same boat as Cynthia Beck here. I own so many houses that I have no idea when they have thousands of weapons inside one of my houses and using it as an illegal, illegal firearm sales front. That happens to me all the time. How many? I mean, you guys probably can relate to this problem where you have like so many houses that you don't know what's going on in each and every one of them. I mean, it's just laughable. But there's some really, really suspicious stuff about the Cynthia Beck. Now, this story just came out from Heavy.com where they're talking about Cynthia Beck, Gordon Getty's mistress. 5 fast facts you need to know about her. And so Gordon Getty's this guy here who's been pictured with Obama. I have the actual photos of them together, and obviously they know each other. And there's been so many. One thing I'll throw out there before we get into this part is that Gordon Getty is related to John Paul Getty, who's obviously Getty, fame, fortune. You know, they pretty much have a little bit of everything out in Hollywood. And they also made I think there's at least 2 Getty museums. Now, there's one Getty museum where people have made speculation that it's actually more of an underground complex that is connected to deep state, connected to all types of weird, crazy stuff. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole this episode. If you guys want to do more research, just type Getty Museum underground bunker into any search engine, and you'll probably find a video or something pretty quick that'll tell you some pretty crazy stuff. But you read through this article, and it talks about how his former mistress, who he had 3 kids with, has this house that was just raided, and it's right in the Hollywood Hills. And here's Getty with Obama, and so I guess apparently that their affair was an open secret. Okay, whatever. Not really interested in that. Here's where it gets really crazy, though. This person, Cynthia Beck, apparently owns a bunch of different properties, and they're just like abandoned. Like nobody's living there. There's crazy stuff. So here's an interesting one about the abandoned $9 million beach mansion. So Cynthia Beck owns this $9 million beach mansion. It says, in the midst of a beachside strip of homes in Malibu known as Paradise Cove, homes run anywhere from 40 to 60 million and are owned by some of the world's wealthiest people. Steve Jobs' widow, Laurene Powell, LA Rams owner Stan Kroenke, who lives with wife, Walmart heiress, Ann Walton, so on and so forth. You see what that says. Right smack in the middle of these gorgeous homes sits Cynthia Beck's rundown dark beach mansion, documented by Yes Theory. It says located in a gated property, the 0.54 acre is only accessible through a private road shared with Beck's neighbor, tennis star John McEnroe, and his wife Patti Smith, whose home is worth $21 million, so on and so forth. But what's interesting about this home is that there's been speculation that it's basically been abandoned, and that everything is looks like it was just left as it was. Like they didn't even pack, they didn't take anything. The art's still on the walls. It's been abandoned for quite some time. And like the story says here, it's between 40 and $60 million houses. So, and we're gonna get into the crazy part about Beck. Apparently, Beck and this person Sands own a bunch of properties together. Okay, not sure exactly what that is all about, but apparently, yeah, she's a real estate mogul. She's bought a bunch of properties throughout this LA. But here's where it gets crazy. Cynthia Beck has not been seen for a long time. Apparently, it's been years, almost it looks like 14 years, where she's just been dropped out of the public eye. Now, I don't know if it's been exactly 14 years, but it's been an incredibly long period of time. So this woman has just been disappeared. And she's still been active. She's still paying her property taxes. She's still maintaining all of her properties, but she is absolutely nowhere to be found. So this is crazy. So the story, if you think about it, this is a story of a huge weapons cache in the middle of the most elite part of LA, where you have the mansions that are of the most rich and famous people in our country, and literally they have this massive arsenal. And if you tie it to other things, like, and I'm not going to get in, like I said, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but to the Gettys, and then you tie it to the Getty Museum and the insinuation that there's a bunker there, and not to mention the criminality that could have, if you have an illegal arms dealer sitting in the middle of a neighborhood like that, they could have been selling weapons to anyone. They could have been selling weapons to gangs and drug cartels and you name it. So this is an incredibly big bust. And you know what the most incredible part about this whole bust is, to me at least, is that it all comes on the heels of this fundraiser that was being held by, you guessed it, Joe Biden in Hollywood, right? So here's the actual story where Biden's at a Hollywood fundraiser just now, right as this raid happens, and he's literally giving, his little spiel to all the Hollywood people, saying how he's going to protect them and how they're going to, he's going to be their, leader who's going to get them out of the Trump era. And of course, right as that happens, this is happening simultaneously. An anonymous tip brings basically a huge network of illegal arms dealers down. Wow. And this is really, really fascinating because it ties back to the Gettys. It ties back to this whole idea that the Long Beach port. So if you guys remember the story I showed you in the last episode, which is right here, you have the Trump administration, this is only a couple days ago, that forced China to sell their Costco, or forced this China state-owned company Costco to sell their Port of Long Beach holdings. And Q's been telling us about the Port of Long Beach since last year at least. And this has been the goal. So the Port of Los Angeles has been the hub for bringing in all this human trafficking, drug trafficking, and other really, really dangerous national security threats to our country. That are talked about in more detail in other videos, such as missile launch systems that could be hidden inside of shipping containers. This is real, and those have the capability to do incredible damage to our country. So that, not only that's part of the concern, but like I said, the human trafficking and the drug trafficking, and apparently weapons trafficking, that's small arms trafficking, because that's probably how they were funneling this in. So they go and they force the sale of the Chinese owned assets in Port of Long Beach, this Costco company. Then shortly after that, a couple days later, they have a huge bust in the Hollywood Hills where they are able to basically collect and gather thousands of illegal firearms that were presumably for sale on the black market. And it ties back to the Gettys, and it's on the same day that Joe Biden is in town giving a speech. So just to kind of put a little nice bow on it, the elites who think that they can get away with this are being busted, and it is happening. And that's probably why we're not hearing a lot from Q, because they're actually taking action. And if you don't believe me, the proof is right here in the pudding. And then to look back at what Q kind of told us about all this, we've been getting this kind of idea of what's going on for quite some time, right? Even going back to April of 2018, where Q is telling us that Mack was naming names. That's Allison Mack from the TV show Smallville, who was involved with the Nexium sex cult. Now, I think that there's two factions. We have and there's probably a few more than that, but two major factions that President Trump's going up against. You have the New York elite, and then you have the West Coast big tech, Silicon Valley, LA elite, Hollywood elite. And those two factions, which are like the coastal powerhouses outside of DC, exert an incredible amount of control, and they're involved in all types of criminal activities. When you look at the human trafficking, drug trafficking, weapons trafficking, that to me is really what we're going after right now. It all ties together. You got to keep looking at this from the point of tying it all together, because as it says here in the Q post, big names in Hollywood, government, local, and federal. Are you kidding? Hollywood, government, local, and federal government? So there's so many people involved in this. Proof. The Standard Hotel. Now, the Standard Hotel is a crazy place. Like, I did a little research on that place. It's just, we're talking about the Standard Hotel in LA. It's a very creepy place. It's got upside down signs, the whole demonic as above, so below type thing. And there was this helicopter crash where I believe one of the managers passed away. and they were just talking about how, and there's been even more suspicious deaths that are connected back to the Standard Hotel in LA, but more overly in LA and Hollywood, with like what Q pointed out to us about this West Hollywood Instagram model named Maria Sunshine Coogan, who died in a Scottsdale plane crash. Now, it's just one of many examples of Q telling us basically to dig deeper on this subject. As it says here, over the target, expand further, Wendy, Hussein, Mac, Adam Schiff, and it gives that actual article I just showed you about the Sunshine Coogan, Maria Sunshine Coogan's plane crash. And it's saying this is all open source, and this all goes to Allison Mack, and this goes to Rachel Chandler, somebody we've talked about a lot here on the channel. And of course, there's this crazy connection between Hussein and this Maggie Nix or Wendy. I don't know. I guess Wendy's a nickname. And a kind of a message to other people, because you gotta understand, other people are looking at this boards. If you think that it's just us, the Anons, and you guys, it's everybody's looking at this, and these are the clues that they have to look at, and they say, oh my gosh, they know about Wendy, right? That's what you have to consider when you look at this, without getting into that too deeply. It just goes back to what all this was. With Allison Mack and Hussein and Maggie Nix and Maria Abramovich, or whatever her name is. This crazy stuff. And here's something else that's interesting, that one of the people reporting on this story, this guy Julian Drum, talking about the whole thing that happened here in the Hollywood Hills, they talk about something I thought was very interesting here. President Trump tweeted on the 7th at 9:50 at night that he was pleased to inform you that the big fireworks, after many years of not having any, are coming back to beautiful Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. And it congratulates the governor and secretaries involved in getting that done. And then, of course, here you have the very next day, hundreds of rifles and firearms uncovered in ATF bust at home in upscale Holmby Hills on the same day that Joe Biden is giving a speech in Hollywood. So, I mean, look, guys, we're still getting the messages here. They may not be coming through the keyboard, but they're happening through actions. Stuff is happening. People are being arrested. Guns and huge arsenals are being cached, or being seized. And this is literally what we've been hoping for. So I hope you guys understand that action is being taken behind the scenes, and that those who are really following this stuff closely understand that not only is everything Q's been telling us coming to light, but I mean, look back. We've been told fireworks has been a sign that's been since the BDT and the Bangladeshi currency, and what happened with the guy in New York. So we get this message a lot, but fireworks, firearms, is there a message that's being given to us there? And this is something that's when POTUS makes a statement, could he be saying something more than what he's actually saying, kind of what you read some of these. So that's what I think we have to take out of this, and that's what I'm kind of putting out for you guys and seeing where you guys stand on it. Of course, a few other pieces of news, things going on in the news. We have North Korea launching more short-range missile launches. Now, this is all about, at this point, in my opinion, I really do believe that this is just all about posturing, and they're trying to get noticed, and they think that's the right way to go about it. And then we basically respond by seizing one of their coal ships that's illegally selling coal on the market that's supposed to be sanctioned. And so that's my take on it. That's the back and forth still happening in North Korea. Keep an eye on that. Here's the great one. They actually are on the cover of Drudge today saying that President Trump caused $1.5 trillion to leave the global markets. It's like, come on, what a joke. So the markets took a dive today after President Trump made some tweet about tariffs on China and how we're going to basically double them. And the fact of the matter is this is not going to be easy. There's going to be some hurt along the way, but it's a part of a greater good. Think of it this way. They've been, as President Trump says, they've been stealing $500 billion. I don't want to say stealing, but we've been running a $500 billion trade deficit with China for how many years now? How long have we been doing that? So they've been funneling money out of our country. And not only that, we have this huge deficit, and they're still not following any of the rules. They're still stealing our intellectual property and using it to create their own companies. They're still involved in corporate espionage. They're still involved in regular espionage. So look, to me, this is a part of the game that we have to play. And now you have these apologists, these China centrics, and these people who just basically, I think they'll just write any story if it's against Trump. That's really what I've come down to on it. So I just figured I'd share that with you guys, and that's an interesting story. And I was just like, I got to talk about this because it's just ridiculous. So that's pretty much it for me. A few more things before we go, if you guys want to hang out. A few ways to help the channel out. First of all, you can come here, hit the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and hit that like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. Watch these videos, share them on your social media, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below because I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of this. So that's definitely something very cool you guys can do to get involved. And don't forget to come find me over here on Twitter at JUSTINFORMED. Again, that's at JUSTINFORMED, the letter U, is my Twitter handle, and you guys come find me here and give me a follow. That's a cool thing. I really hope you guys come do that. And you can come find me over here on JUSTINFORMEDNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, where you get links to all the different Q stuff here, and you get links to different news articles. You get links to different breaking news, news websites, then breaking news articles here. And of course, you get the latest videos from the channel here. So it's a good tool for you guys to come use if you guys just want to go check that out. That really helps, and I appreciate you guys going and doing that. A couple other ways you can help out are both financial. You can come over here and find me on Patreon, the crowdfunding website, where you basically can set a monthly donation and give to this channel and know that you're helping creating content here on a regular basis. So I really appreciate that. It's patreon.com, patreon.com/justinformedtalk. Link will be in the description. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time donation that helps out, or an anonymous donation that helps out really much, really a lot as well. So thank you so much for that. And with that being said, we're going to take a second to do what we do at the end of each one of these episodes, which talks about, we do a segment called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For this segment, we're going to use some scripture here, and we're going to read some scripture, and then we're going to talk about it. It's talking about the Holy Spirit's message, and this is in Romans chapter 8, verse 12 through 17. And it says, "So then, brothers, we are not obligated to the flesh to live according to the flesh. If you live according to the flesh, you are going to die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live. All those led by God's Spirit are God's sons. For you did not receive a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you received the Spirit of adoption, by whom we cry out, 'Father.' The Spirit himself testifies together with our spirit that we are God's children, and if children, also heirs, heirs of God's and co-heirs with Christ, seeing that we suffer with him, so that we may also be glorified with him." Now, to me, I read that, and the message I get is just that life's not easy. And that we should not live our lives based on what's here in this world, what's earthly, what's of our body, what's of our flesh. We should live according to what's of our spirit, and our spirit being given to God, and we put God in our heart every day. That's how we should live our life of righteousness, and we should live through deeds of righteousness and deeds of goodness. And what I also take away basically is that we are the children of God. And that once we live that life and we call out to our God Father to come into our hearts, then we become the heirs to God's incredible glory. And we're co-heirs, as it says there, with Jesus Christ, God's only Son, our Lord. And that's truly, I think, the key to understanding what we have to do, who we are, and how we need to be in this world. Because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And it may be that we have to suffer as we do with seeing this kind of evil in the world, knowing that it exists, and having and many others who are actually directly suffering from its effects. And all we can do, pray, have strong faith, be righteous, be good men and women, serve the Lord, and do everything you can to be right by God in your spirit. So That's where I'm going to leave it. I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Again, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more of it. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.